Everyone. How was lunch? Good. Okay, yeah, pizza. Awesome. All right, so we're going to start off session 3 with one of my personal favorite TED Talks by Rita Pearson called Kids Need a Champion.
Either at the schoolhouse, on the way to the schoolhouse, or talking about what happens in the schoolhouse. Both my parents were educators. My maternal grandparents were educators. And for the past 40 years, I've done the same thing. And so needless to say, over those years, I've had a chance to look at education reform from a lot of perspectives. Some of those reforms have been good, some of them have been not so good. And we know why kids drop out. We know why kids don't learn. It's either poverty, low attendance, negative peer influences. We know why. But one of the things that we never discuss, or we rarely discuss, is the value and importance of human connection. Relationships. James Comer says that no significant learning can occur without a significant relationship. George Washington Carver says all learning is understanding relationships. Everyone in this room has been affected by a teacher or an adult. For years, I have watched people teach. I have looked at the best and I've looked at some of the worst. A colleague said to me one time, they don't pay me to like the kids. They pay me to teach a lesson, the kids should learn it, I should teach them, they should learn it, case closed. Well, I said to her, you know, kids don't learn from people they don't like. She said, that's just a bunch of hooey. And I said to her, well, your year is going to be long and arduous, dear. Needless to say, it was. Some people think that you can either have it in you to build a relationship or you don't. I think Stephen Covey had the right idea. He said you ought to just throw in a few simple things, like seeking first to understand as opposed to being understood. Simple things like apologize. You ever thought about that? Tell a kid you're sorry, they're in shock. I taught a lesson once on ratios. I'm not real good with math, but I was working on it. And I got back and looked at that teacher edition. I taught the whole lesson wrong. So I came back to class the next day and I said, look guys, I need to apologize. I taught the whole lesson wrong. I'm so sorry. They said, that's okay, Ms. Pearson. You were so excited. We just let you go. I have had classes that were so low, so academically deficient that I cried. I wondered, how am I going to take this group in 9 months from where they are to where they need to be? And it was difficult. It was awfully hard. How do I raise the self-esteem of a child and his academic achievement at the same time? One year I came up with a bright idea. I told all my students, you were chosen to be in my class. Because I am the best teacher and you are the best students, they put us all together so we could show everybody else how to do it. One of the students said, really? I said, really? We have to show the other classes how to do it. So when we walk down the hall, people will notice us. So you can't make noise, you just have to strut. And I gave them a saying to say, I am somebody. I was somebody when I came. I'll be a better somebody when I leave. I am powerful and I am strong. I deserve the education that I get here. I have things to do, people to impress, and places to go. And they said, yeah. You say it long enough, it starts to be a part of you. And so, I gave a quiz, 20 questions. Student missed 18. I put a +2 on his paper and a big smiley face. He said, Miss Pearson, is this an F? I said, yes, ma'am, I can do better. You see, -18 sucks all the life out of you. +2 said, I ain't all bad. 4 years I watched my mother take the time at recess to review, go on home visits in the afternoon, buy combs and brushes and peanut butter and crackers to put in her desk drawer for kids that needed to eat, and a washcloth and some soap for the kids who didn't smell so good. See, it's hard to teach kids who stink. And kids can be cruel. And so she kept those things in her desk, and years later, after she retired, I watched some of those same kids come through and say to her, you know, Miss Walker, you made a difference in my life. You made it work for me. You made me feel like I was somebody when I knew at the bottom I wasn't. And I want you to just see what I've become. And when my mama died 2 years ago at 92, there were so many former students at her funeral. It brought tears to my eyes, not because she was gone, but because she left a legacy of relationships that could never disappear. Can we stand to have more relationships? Absolutely. Will you like all your children? Of course not. And you know your toughest kids are never absent. Never. You won't like them all, and the tough ones show up for a reason. It's the connection, it's the relationships. And while you won't like them all, the key is they can never, ever know. So teachers become great actors and great actresses, and we come to work when we don't feel like it, and we listen to policy that doesn't make sense, and we teach anyway. We teach anyway because that's what we do. Teaching and learning should bring joy. How powerful would our world be if we had kids who were not afraid to take risks, who were not afraid to think, and who had a champion? Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. Is this job tough? You betcha. Oh God, you betcha. But it is not impossible. We can do this. We're educated. We're born to make a difference. Thank you so much.
I hope you're now ready to start session 3 after listening to Ms. Pearson's wonderful talk. Our first presenter of the session is Asiya, a 16-year-old who shares with us her views of what it means to be equal. I've loved every moment I've spent with her and watching her transform her ideas since the very first day of class. It is this concept that may be the obstacle that separates us from achieving a utopian society. You are truly in for a treat. Please put your hands together for Asiya Drisi with her talk, Flip of a Coin.
I have a coin. It is unaltered, not a trick coin or anything like that. How many sides does this coin have? Which side is more valuable than the other? When I give the coin to a cashier, I don't make sure the cashier sees heads or tails depending on which I deem more valuable. No, if I did that, my parents would worry and send me to a psychiatrist. If your answer was 2 sides, and either side is equally valuable, then let me ask you, how does this work in real life? Let's say the coin is a human being, and either side is gender, male and female, that is. Gender issues are not new. During the 19th century, women began demanding equal rights, human rights, like the right to vote, the right to own property, and the right to have control over their own earnings. All in the name of feminism. Feminism, as defined by Google, is the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of the sexes. Women now have those rights, but they're having a new problem. they're not getting equal pay for the same work. Now you might say, maybe the majority of the population is male, and that's why we see male workers in higher positions. Actually, the ratio of women to men now is 51 to 49. Women clearly outnumber men, yet they hold few political positions. This year, women only make up 19% of Congress, which is better than 2013, where women only made up 13%. But after last week's election, women are now up to 22%, which is way better, but we still have a long way to go. According to the National Association of Women Business Owners, 39% of businesses are owned by women, and the majority of these businesses are considered to be small businesses. Now you might say it's a question of qualification. But if you look back at history, several great achievements were made by women. Marie Curie in science, Amelia Earhart in aerodynamics, and Fields Medal winner, Maryam Mirzakhani in math. It's not really a question of qualification, if you ask me. Rather, I would say it's the lack of opportunity. Have you ever noticed that despite how developed we say we are, we have never had a female president or vice president? But if you look at Pakistan, a developing country, they were open enough to accept a female prime minister. So have Bangladesh, Nepal, and the UK, to name a few. Feminists thought the solution to this issue would be equality between genders in all aspects. Thus trying to make the two genders one and the same. So if we say W is woman and M is men, that means that if this statement is true, W equals men, and they can be used interchangeably. Take a look at the person next to you. Go ahead, I'll wait. If this statement is true, then we should all be carbon copies of each other. That means I can replace you by the person next to you, and you would know better than anyone else that wouldn't work. Equality is fairness, not sameness. Whenever I think of fairness not being the same as sameness, I remember a story Muhammad Ali told, the Olympic gold medal winner of the 1960s. He was also called the champion of civil rights by a British prime minister. After he won that gold medal in 1960, he went downtown to a segregated restaurant, took a seat and ordered a cup of coffee and a hot dog. The waitress said, "We don't serve black people." She didn't say black, that was pure pie. You're welcome. He said, "I don't need them either, just give me a cup of coffee." Long story short, Muhammad Ali had to leave that restaurant. But when you look back at his life, he never tried to be something he wasn't. In his case, white. He's embraced his chocolatey complexion, stood up to the mistreatment, and fought for civil rights. He was invited on white TV shows and took every chance he got to fight for what he believed in. Women should do the same. Don't try to be men because of the mistreatment. Stay true to yourselves and fight against it. If you look back at history, where did this problem start? This problem of equality? Well, the men were the ones to go out, hunt, scavenge, and communicate with other tribes, while the women stayed back to tend to the children and the farm. Over time, men's contribution to society could be measured in money. Well, women's couldn't be measured since, well, you don't exactly get paid to raise your own kids. Women's contribution was being devalued. So to overcome this, women made men the obstacle. Women made men the model, or the standard. And from there, women needed to act like men, dress like men, behave like men, and like things men would like. Till this day, I have not seen a woman in the position of Hillary Clinton or Queen Elizabeth dressed with her hair down and long in a feminine dress like Reese Witherspoon would legally want. Now, what would the ideal feminist world look like? We would live in one of two scenarios. The first being, women would replace men. They would work outside, and the men would tend to the children at home. After a while, men would rebel, just like women are right now, and we just keep going in a vicious circle. And the second scenario would be where men and women are equal. Both work outside of the house, and the child is left to be raised by no one since no one's home. That would be like two pilots in the same plane, each driving in their own direction. Just saying, I would not want to be on that plane. A loss in individuality is a loss in diversity. We need to stay true to ourselves and not try to be men because of the mistreatment. Men and women complement each other like salt and sugar to create a sweet and salty masterpiece. So I call you, men and women alike. When you look at someone, look for the value. And remember this coin. Regardless of the side, it has the same value. Difference is not weakness. And as Aristotle said, the worst form of inequality is to make unequal things equal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asia. You've certainly done a great job communicating your idea and its impacts on society. I truly could not have said that better. That was amazing. The next time I look at a coin, I will definitely be reminded of your talk. While Asia emphasizes the importance of being equally valued in society, Hallie, our next presenter, will explore an important topic in her life and throughout history. Please tune in to Hallie's vital message as she reminds us of what some call rights and others call privilege. Please help me welcome Hallie Grower with her talk, Louder Than Words.
There's something that I didn't know very much about a few years ago, but it's something that matters very much to me now. That thing is freedom. This past summer, I had the opportunity to attend a conference. On the last day, the last speaker spoke about how both his mother and his wife had been abused. He asked others in the audience to be brave enough to come forward. Others who had similar experiences to go forward for prayer. As others went forward, and I began to pray over them, I started to cry. And it wasn't just a tear or a sniffle. I was sobbing. It was then that I had a revelation. Freedom is something that matters to me. It's something that I'm passionate about, and I want to fight for, because I believe everybody deserves freedom as a right. What does freedom mean to you? Let me share a little more about what freedom means to me. I've been blessed to be born in a free country and a loving home, but as I've gotten older, I've discovered that not many people have this right.
Their freedom is taken away from them. One of the main causes that takes away freedom from others is human trafficking. Human trafficking binds people in chains, even if these chains aren't physical.
1/3 of human trafficking victims are children. 5.7 million of these children are in forced marriages. There's 10 million people in modern-day slavery worldwide. And the devastating fact is that only 1% of human trafficking victims are rescued. 1%. 1. Page 21 devoted to abolishing slavery. They said phrases like slavery and human trafficking can still feel ambiguous. This is the reality. Slavery is violence. When I was younger, I didn't realize slavery still existed, let alone that only 1% are rescued from human trafficking. But now that I'm older, I realize freedom is something incredibly important and something that I want to fight for. Others before me have realized that freedom is important, and they've devoted their lives to fighting for freedom. Some of these people are George Washington. George Washington fought for our nation's freedom. Another person is Abraham Lincoln. He fought to abolish slavery in America. Martin Luther King Jr. fought for civil rights. And Nelson Mandela fought against apartheid. Rosa Parks was known as the mother of the freedom movement. She's had quite the impact on freedom. And Audrey Hepburn fought to give children freedom. To all of these people, freedom to them meant different things. But to Audrey, freedom for children was incredibly important. She believed freedom for them is crucial. They're the next generation, the future. Audrey was an actress who started her career in about the 1950s. She became known as a fashion icon, and several people idolized her, and still do. I'm also somebody that looks up to Audrey, but not just for her fashion inspiration. Not many people know Audrey grew up during World War II, which was a harsh and freedomless time in her life. Audrey herself said, "At a young age, I was very aware of suffering and fear." Audrey experienced several negative side effects of World War II, one of those being malnutrition. Her body took a toll because of malnourishment. Towards the end of the war, an aid worker bought Audrey a piece of chocolate and shared with Audrey that the war was finally over. Audrey was so thrilled that the war had ended and she finally had something to eat. She inhaled the chocolate. But because of the malnutrition, her body didn't agree with it. But chocolate became a staple in Audrey's life. It was a reminder of how sweet freedom is. Toward the later years of her life, Audrey worked with the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, or UNICEF. Audrey believed in what UNICEF was doing and is still doing, helping children in oppression, children who had similar experiences to Audrey. She firmly believed in their mission. She said, "I can testify to what UNICEF means to children because I was among those who received food and medical relief right after World War II. I have long-lasting gratitude and trust for what UNICEF does." Audrey believed in giving her gifts to others and fighting for freedom and sharing freedom. She said, "As you grow older, you discover you have two hands, one for helping yourself and one for helping others." Audrey used her gifts to give to others. She shared freedom with them. I also want to use my gifts to share with others and to fight for freedom. I believe that strengthening my gifts is helping prepare me to fight for freedom. One gift that I'm strengthening is language. I'm very passionate about language and believe that it's a useful tool. Language creates connection, and connection leads to unity, and unity is a powerful bond because together we can fight for freedom. I also believe that serving others is helping prepare me to someday work in the mission field. This past summer at conference, something sparked inside me. It was then that I realized freedom is something I'm passionate about and that I believe everybody deserves. I asked you what freedom means to you earlier. It might mean something different to you than it does to the person sitting next to you. But to me, freedom is the opportunity to make a difference, and I believe we can all make a change. Rich Wilkerson Jr. said, "The difference between sympathy and compassion is action. Actions speak louder than words." Audrey said, "Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible." I believe that we're possible, and together we can fight for freedom. Won't you join me in the fight?
us on this significant issue. It was truly stunning. While Hallie speaks on the importance of freedom, Adam will share with us his unique perspective about competitions. And ironically enough, Adam is not only doing a TEDx talk today, but he's also competing in the Rubik's Cube competition right next door. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but let me just tell you, I stepped in during lunch, and I saw Adam, like, his fingers are like flying everywhere. He's truly impressive, truly impressive. But Adam is going to shine a new light on this concept and explains how he is able to further explore his passions in this way. Please help me welcome Adam with his talk, Competing for Success.
My hand shaking, my heart racing, all just to answer a math problem. But not just any problem, a math counts problem. Math counts is a nationwide competition where students compete for high scholarship prizes and attracting some of the best mathletes in the nation. Such a complex problem in such little time. I race and I compete to not only improve myself, but also improve my skills. This competition drives me and my classmates to not only do better than others, but to also improve ourselves. I am passionate about how competition can make someone or something more important. Most people believe that competition is
Let's restart that.
To your mic. Is my screen smaller than your iPhone? Huh? Look how yours goes full screen.
I'm telling you, Adam's just competing on all grounds, technology, whatever it is. So please help me welcome Adam Balu with his talk, Competing for Success.
my hands shaking, my heart racing, all just to answer a math problem. But not just any problem, a math counts problem. Math Counts is a nationwide competition where students compete for high scholarship prizes and attracting some of the best mathletes in the nation. Such a complex problem in such little time. I race and I compete to not only improve myself, but to also improve my skills. This competition drives me and my classmates to not only do better than others, but to also improve ourselves. Most people believe that competition is just an opportunity to beat someone. But have you ever thought of it as a potential way to advance our skills and our technology? I am passionate about how a competition makes someone or something more important. Competition is everywhere, but some people just don't notice. For example, your phone. Many companies compete just to get their product into your hand. And this ranges from everything. The SIM cards, the cases, the apps, the websites. So in such a little device is such broad competition. This summer, I went to Portugal, and every coffee shop had a Wi-Fi sticker on it. The Wi-Fi there was at least 20 times better than the Wi-Fi here. The reason for this is, in 1 square mile is 7 cell towers. So because of all of the competition, The companies are forced to improve their megabytes per second to attract more customers. Compared to the Wi-Fi here, or at least at my house, there's only one cell tower in 1 square mile. So because of the lack of competition, the company is not going to be forced or motivated to improve themselves. Now turning more to an academic perspective, Rubik's Cubes. You probably have one sitting at your house, either collecting dust, still put together, or broken. They're not that popular, but ever since the November competition was announced that's being hosted here, right now, an unusually large amount of people at my school are wanting to learn how to solve it. And that is quite unusual, because not a lot of people are willing to put in hours of work just to solve a puzzle, unless there's a competition. Now, like I said in the beginning, Math Counts is one of my favorite hobbies. Math Counts is a nationwide competition where schools compete for a #1 prize. Students dedicate hours of practice to not only improve themselves, but to also improve their character. I am passionate about this because Math Counts takes such a lame subject that not a lot of people love, and they put it into a much more fun and competitive event. The competition makes students push themselves, which is why I believe it is important. Now, if you don't like to lose, or you think that losing is a bad thing, try looking at losing as a motivator, or as a chance to become better. If you're in a competition with a business and you lose your job, try looking at that as a chance to find something better or as a way to advance yourself. I'm passionate about this because competition has not only a big impact on my life, but on everybody's lives. All you have to do is look at an advancement and wonder, why did it change? Or why did it become better? Almost every time, it is because of competition driving us. You see, that competition is creating different academic talents and business conflicts. It is making us evolve our skills and our technology. But some people just don't view it that way. So it is important, because without it, we would not be encouraged to make ourselves and the people around us better. We would not be motivated to achieve higher because there would be no reason to. If there was no competition, the world would stay the same. So next time you compete in a competition, think of winning first place as a side effect, and know that you only win whenever you improve yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adam. Can we please give him another round of applause for not only powering through, but also giving such an amazing talk. Adam, your idea allows for us to learn things in a new and fun way, while also challenging us to step up and compete. This has been a long and interesting session. We heard 3 great talks. First, Asia taught us about equality, Hallie spoke on freedom, and finally, Adam explained the value underlying competitions. As with the other breaks, our presenters will be in the reception area, located just behind you, for you to discuss their ideas with them. We will return in 10 minutes for our next session.
Top one. Top one. Top is on. Gotcha. Took me like 2 years to figure out.
What are the other ones? What are the other 4 ones? Looks like there's 4 little ones in the middle. Are those like in here?
My RF, 3 of the microphones just went crazy.
I'm just going to leave.
There you go.
This time. It's not going to I'm going to record that though.
They're mid 500s, low 500s. So, you know, they took 600 from this year.
Yeah, it's weird that it says, you know, it's not compatible, but it says it works. So I guess it works the way we have it working.
It's getting to the point where it's just like, it's getting smaller and smaller.
And the other thing about it though is it kind of, because when I told them,
Yeah,
hey,
you-
this is the camera.
that's what- yeah.
And they went like, hey, whoa.
Well, were you going to use that one though?
Well, it was one of them, but I
Yeah.
had yours on the list
On the
too.
list, too.
I basically sent him his camera, your camera, and the GoPro.
And the GoPro is the one that works the best.
Yeah,
And your
exactly.
iPhone.
We just figured out how to power it.
Well, that was sketchy. He said we're close to a bunch of hospitals.
and that the RF on 3 of the microphones frequency is being blown up by some other localized transmitter, so he's going to have to go change all the frequencies on all the microphones.
We get like a siren going by.
He was telling me something. I'm going to check on my kit because he said they took away one of our frequencies, and I need to see what my kit, my radio frequency is.
Yeah, no, all of 600, so. Pretty much all that's left for consumers is 500. And if you have anything, it's really different.
Well, I'm just thinking these are 10-year-old radio sets.
Yeah. I'm sure that's going to go next. So companies are really pushing digital for more.
Can we sing this?
And so that's all another can of worms. You get into digital fighting everything else that's sharing that.
Another battery. Just in case. Right.
Yeah, that was a good one. Is that still on the same on the first one? Mm-hmm. Or is that the new? You switched it out?
I switched it out at lunch.
Check it 1, 2. Check it 1, 2. Mic check. Check it 1, 2.
Well, Adam was unflappable. He stood up there and talking through all the explosions going on stage.
Yeah.
That was like a combat test or something.
Yeah, but he's still like, okay, if I don't move.
Yeah, the handhelds are good.
So are you streaming a blank right now, or you've got some?
Yeah, we're just streaming the 10-minute break. Yeah, because we'll go when we went for lunch. I stopped the stream.
Yeah, I heard you lost it. Yeah.
And they decided that, I guess they're talking.
So I just learned about this sling stuff about 3 weeks ago. I was at a band competition, and this guy had like 3 of those I'm seeing on different cameras that are unattended, and then I saw that he had a big white thing, and I Googled it while I'm standing next to it, and they were live streaming to the internet, and he actually was running a switcher.
Thank you. I was like, someone has to do something.
Because he had three cameras.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this console. That's what that is.
So is that this is the this is the Sling Studio console?
Yeah, this is the console.
It's so like an app you download, or
yeah. So like if I want to that camera that's on top of, or the camera that's on the stage, my phone.
What's up? Check 1, 2, mic check, check 1, 2. Check 1, 2, mic check. Check 1, 2. Okay. I mean, we've been using the same 3 mics and then all of a sudden. No, I just appreciate it. Yeah. Alright, we should be good. Check 1, 2, mic check. Check 1, 2, check, check, check. Should not need to be that high. Check 1, 2, mic check. Check 1, 2, check, check, check. All right. You're hearing this just as I'm hearing it. Yep. Go with that. Check 1, 2, mic check. Check 1, 2, check, check, check. Check 1, 2. This is a serious level. Check 1, 2. Alright, check 1, 2, mic check. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2, mic check. Check 1, 2. Check, check, check. Yeah. No cable pops, nothing. Just yeah, that's the way it goes.
Sir? Yeah, pretty much. Yes, ma'am.
Alex said that it was like vibrating here. And I mean, you keep going when you have that sound if you don't notice. So that speaks well to the guidance you all have given them to keep going.
Appreciate that.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
idea. Okay, find out what it is. And tell candidates that have to be there. Just ask them. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Nope. But I will tell you, in 30 years, the thing is, all they're trying to do is dig it out. And guess what? Seriously. Wait. That was most of the because what the tail is clean. It is. See, it's phenomenal. Thank you, Donna. Here's a waist. Everything's better when a waist is near me.
Most awesome. We like
He's
the
my
waist.
buddy. What, that water? It doesn't matter because it could be awful. You talking about this one? Thank you, Susan. Oh, it was somebody. It's okay. No, but she's worked out it. Seriously, I don't know how. Yeah, we're gonna be give us. How we doing? I'm asking Warren. We're fine. Okay, one minute. And then he'll get the house order. He needs to like for the video. No, he's not. We need to get the house lights for the video. So, well, are you going? No, you're not coming. Oh, okay, so the next, oh, okay, because I have a video that says you. No, okay, that's fine. We're on it. So as soon as you dim the light, wait.
As soon as we dim the lights, we're starting the video.
We're six. Okay, we're fine. Yeah. Just go back and then have somebody look for me, and I'll give you this symbol, okay? And then dim the lights, okay?
What's the fastest growing threat to Americans' health? Cancer, heart attacks, diabetes? The answer is actually none of these. It's Alzheimer's disease. Every 67 seconds, someone in the United States is diagnosed with Alzheimer's. As the number of Alzheimer's patients triples by the year 2050, caring for them, as well as the rest of the aging population, will become an overwhelming societal challenge. My family has experienced first-hand the struggles of caring for an Alzheimer's patient. Growing up in a family with 3 generations, I've always been very close to my grandfather. When I was 4 years old, my grandfather and I were walking in a park in Japan when he suddenly got lost. It was one of the scariest moments I've ever experienced in my life, and it was also the first incident that informed us that my grandfather had Alzheimer's disease. Over the past 12 years, his condition got worse and worse, and his wandering in particular caused my family a lot of stress. My aunt, his primary caregiver, really struggled to stay awake at night to keep an eye on him, and even then often failed to catch him leaving the bed. I became really concerned about my aunt's well-being, as well as my grandfather's safety. I searched extensively for a solution that could help my family's problems, but couldn't find it. Then, one night, about 2 years ago, I was looking after my grandfather and I saw him stepping out of bed. The moment his foot landed on the floor, I thought, why don't I put a pressure sensor on the heel of his foot? Once he stepped onto the floor and out of the bed, the pressure sensor would detect an increase in pressure caused by body weight and then wirelessly send an audible alert to the caregiver's smartphone. That way, my aunt could sleep much better at night without having to worry about my grandfather's wandering. So now I'd like to perform a demonstration of the song. Could I please have my soft model on stage? Great. So, once the patient steps onto the floor, an alert is sent to the caregiver's smartphone. Thank you. Thank you, Soft. So this is a drawing of my preliminary design. My desire to create a sensor-based technology perhaps stemmed from my lifelong love for sensors and technology. When I was 6 years old, an elderly family friend fell down in the bathroom and suffered severe injuries. I became concerned about my own grandparents and decided to invent a smart bathroom system. Motion sensors would be installed inside the tiles of bathroom floors to detect the falls of elderly patients whenever they fell down in the bathroom. Since I was only 6 years old at the time and I hadn't graduated from kindergarten yet, I didn't have the necessary resources and tools to translate my idea into a reality. But nonetheless, my recent experience really implanted in me a firm desire to use sensors to help the elderly people. I really believe that sensors can improve the quality of life of the elderly. When I laid out my plan, I realized that I faced 3 main challenges. First, creating a sensor. Second, designing a circuit. And third, coding a smartphone app. This made me realize that my project was actually much harder to realize than I initially had thought it to be. First, I had to create a wearable sensor that was thin and flexible enough to be worn comfortably on the bottom of the patient's foot. After extensive research and testing of different materials, like rubber, which I realized was too thick to be worn snugly on the bottom of the foot, I decided to print a film sensor with electrically conductive, pressure-sensitive ink particles. Once pressure is applied, the connectivity between the particles increases. Therefore, I could design a circuit that would measure pressure by measuring electrical resistance. Next, I had to design a wearable wireless circuit. But wireless filtration consumes lots of power and requires heavy, bulky batteries. Thankfully, I was able to find out about the Bluetooth Low Energy technology. which consumes very little power and can be driven by a coin-sized battery. This prevented the system from dying in the middle of the night. Lastly, I had to code a smartphone app that would essentially transform the caregiver's smartphone into a remote monitor. For this, I had to expand upon my knowledge of coding with Java and Xcode, and I also had to learn about how to code for Bluetooth Low Energy devices by watching YouTube tutorials and reading various textbooks. Integrating these components, I was able to successfully create two prototypes. One in which the sensor is embedded inside a sock, and another that's a reattachable sensor assembly that can be adhered anywhere that makes contact with the bottom of the patient's foot. I've tested the device on my grandfather for about a year now, and it's had a 100% success rate in detecting the over 900 known cases of his wandering. Last summer, I was able to beta test my device at several residential care facilities in California, and I'm currently incorporating the feedback to further improve the device into a marketable product. Testing the device on a number of patients made me realize that I needed to invent solutions for people who didn't want to wear socks to sleep at night. So sensor data collected on a vast number of patients can be useful for improving patient care and also leading to a cure for the disease, possibly. For example, I'm currently examining correlations between the frequency of a patient's nightly wandering and his or her daily activities and diet. One thing I'll never forget is when my device first caught my grandfather's wandering out of bed at night. At that moment, I was really struck by the power of technology to change lives for the better. People living happily and healthily. That's the world that I imagine. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was pretty impressive, wasn't it? Welcome back, everybody. We still having fun?
Now we've come to our fourth and final session. Just a quick reminder that our presenters should hang back after the session for photos on stage. Also, please make sure that you sign in at the registration desk. Now we want to hear from some more of our live speakers. Our first presenter for this session is Ramesa Drisi. Ramesa is a 14-year-old who addresses the misconception of her appearance and what her garments represent. Please give a big round of applause for Ramesa with her talk, What Do You See When You Look at Me?
When you look at me, what do you see? Do you see a Girl Scout? An artist? Someone who loves robotics? How about a soccer player? Or, if you know what the average American does, you probably might think of me as a terrorist, a member of ISIS, or maybe even an oppressed woman. Well, let me just tell you, that's prejudice. Prejudice is defined as an unreasonable opinion or feeling, especially the feeling of not liking a particular group, making judgment in advance based on false knowledge. You see, one day, my friend's mom went to the store to JCPenney. Once she got to the cashier, the person screamed and yelled, "Please take whatever you want, just leave me alone." She thought she came to steal her money because she was wearing a scarf. Her husband was dead, laughing on the floor. He couldn't speak. My friend's mom got so upset she started crying. Eventually, the cashier realized her mistake. To say the least, that was quite embarrassing. Stereotypes are the idea that everyone within a certain group share the exact same characteristics. See, for example, you might think that all Muslims must dress the same. Well, that's not true. What is this thing on my head? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's called a hijab. Hijab comes in different forms. Some wear burqa, others wear niqab, some wear turbans, and some even wear hats. It doesn't have to be where I do it. And by the way, it's called a hijab, not a hijab like President Obama called it. So, everyone, please repeat after me. Hijab. Hijab. Now, you may be wondering why I'd like to cover myself like this. Well, let me tell you a little more about my religion, and then you'll understand.
I believe in only one God, and that God created the entire universe to the smallest bacteria. I believe that God sent down prophets. Among them is Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Jesus, Moses, and Solomon, peace be upon them all. With them, God sent holy books. I believe, as a Muslim, in the Psalms, the Torah, the Quran, and, surprise, the Bible too. I believe that God sent down the created angels to serve him, and that all the actions I do I will be judged for on the day of judgment. All the good actions that I do I will be rewarded for, and I ask for God's mercy and forgiveness for those that I do bad. I also believe in qadar, or destiny, that God created us all, and we are all part of his plan. As a Muslim, I pray 5 times a day to have a strong connection with God throughout my day. I also believe that I must give annual tax for the poor called zakat, and that I must at least go one time in my life to perform the Hajj, or pilgrimage. I also believe that I must fast during the month of Ramadan, or as we call it in Arabic, Sawm. I abstain from eating or drinking during a special month called Ramadan, from sunrise to sunset. In addition to not eating, I also refrain from performing bad actions. Now, let's go back to understanding why I choose to wear hijab. You see, God says in chapter 24, verse 31, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ. And what this means is, and say to the believing woman, that they should lower their gaze and guard their private parts, that they should not display their beauty or ornaments except for what must ordinarily appear therefore, that they should not display their beauty and draw their khimar over their chest. Now, you may be wondering why we have to cover our neck. Hijab has nothing to do with hair. If that was the case, we could do what Jewish women do and wear a wig. That reminds me of a question I often get asked. Are you bald? Well, just for the record, I'm not bald. I have plenty of hair. Hijab has nothing to do with hair. It's about covering your beauty and showing modesty, not only in the way I dress, but in the way I walk and interact with people. And I may only remove my hijab in front of my immediate family members, such as my father, my brother, and my uncles. And a woman may wear as she likes as long as she covers from the top of her head to her chest. She doesn't have to wear a hijab. That makes you really hot. And that also reminds me of a question I often get asked. Aren't you hot in that? Well, of course I'm hot. We live in Texas after all. No matter how little you're wearing, you will get hot regardless. Actually, research shows that the darker your clothes are and the thicker they are, the less heat you will feel. So loose and thick clothes will make you less as hot. Now that you know a little more, so you see, my religion is not about killing people and bombing other people in Syria. This is what my religion is actually about. Actually, in the Quran, there's a verse that says that if you kill one human, it's as though you killed all of humanity. I don't know how many good deeds you could do to cover that up. So now that you know a little more about my religion, I'd like to tell you a little more about me. I'm a Muslim girl. My name is Numaisa. I'm 14 years old. I've been homeschooled since kindergarten, and I greatly enjoy doing calligraphy. As I said before, I was a Girl Scout. I love to do art and do robotics.
I also greatly enjoy doing sports such as soccer, volleyball, and competitive swimming. I challenge you. The next time you see a Muslim girl, greet her and say hi. See beyond her hijab. See her as a person, and clear your mind from all the prejudgments and ideas that last come to mind. Maybe greet her and say salam, meaning peace, and get to know her. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Ramesa, for teaching us the importance of looking past our prejudices to see people for who they really are. Our next presenter is Christiana Adejokin, a 17-year-old who wants to share her passion for youth leadership and community involvement. She is striving to get more youth involved in improving their future. Please help me give a huge welcome to Christiana with her talk, Find Your Fit.
From Serena Williams, Bill Gates, Obama to Malala. These people use their talents to revolutionize societal standards. But what else do they have in common? Well, they all found something that they were extremely passionate about, and they used it to inspire others like me to do the same. They found their fit. I believe the main attribute to making the world a better place is to simply find your fit. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly does it mean to find your fit? Well, I stumbled across this concept when I spoke at Texas Youth in Government about youth leadership and community involvement. This organization is actually really cool. It helps students like me be more involved in their government by competing in competitions like mock trial and legislation. In due time, I became a youth senator. After giving my speech, I noticed that my words were able to have an impact on others. And that's when I created my campaign, Find Your Fit. Have you ever seen a shoe that you are just so in love with, and hope that when you get it, it fits? Like, take this shoe for example. It's cute, it has sparkles, I mean, it basically embodies everything about me. And the only wrong thing about this is that it could never fit. It's too small. It's a size 2 and I'm a size 10. But the shoes I'm wearing right now, they fit perfectly. And I'm actually infatuated with them. One could even say that they're my perfect match. That's essentially what your fit is. Your fit is your perfect match. In the society we live in today, many people may ask, how can I start to make a change in my society? Well, it actually doesn't cost a lot of time, and you don't need to use a lot of resources. For instance, my friends, Hayden, Blake, Liam, and Frank, they all have a passion for their environment. They're so passionate about their environment that they were so distraught when they looked at our school and they saw litter everywhere. So they each took the initiative to make a change on our school campus and pick up the trash. Little did they know, they were inspiring several others to do the same. That's what led them to create their club called Keep Summit Beautiful. Not only were they leaders on our campus, but they're doing something that they love. They were able to make a change. That's just an example about how 4 people were able to have an impact on their society while doing something that they love. You can also find your fit in the most unexpected ways. For instance, my freshman year of high school, I was about 5'8", and I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I thought I was going to be the next Dirk Nowitzki, Shaquille O'Neal, LeBron James, but with more hair, of course. Any pro basketball player that you've ever heard of, I thought I was going to be as good as them. I honestly knew that I was just going to blow them out. So, the day came, it was my first game. And I was fast when going up the court, and when it came to defense, nobody can body me because I was just too hot for them. I was passing all the balls, I was blocking shots, and then my time came, someone passed me the ball, and it was my time to shine. When I finally got the ball, I was bouncing, and I scored. But on the wrong one. Yeah. So when I was bouncing the ball, I thought my teammates were screaming for me. It was actually them telling me to go the other way. And that's when I realized maybe my fit wasn't for basketball, trying to be the next LeBron James. But I used all the talents that I had on the court and put that to something that could make me better. So, running on the court, I actually used that for track. And making my teammates know that they should give their all through everything that they're doing. And instead of defending people on the court, I started defending people in an actual court as a youth attorney for my city. That's just an example of how I found my fit in the most unexpected ways and was able to still have an impact. Now, many people may ask, okay, you're 17 years old, you have all the time in the world. I have a job to work, I have bills to pay. I don't have time to find my fit, so how am I supposed to do that? Well, I'm here to tell you, you can do that in the most simplest ways. For example, how many of you here are shoe lovers? Oh yes, I love shoes. And do you know that there's some people in this world that collect so many shoes, but have shoes that they can't fit anymore, like this shoe? So they give those shoes back to people in need, people who need those shoes. They found their fit in something that they love, collecting shoes, and use it to impact society. Or if someone likes playing an instrument, do you know that there are people there who use their love for instruments in order to make the lives of other people better? They go to children's hospitals and nursing homes to spread their love of joy for music to them, to make them feel better. Or people like Malala Yousafzai. She used and found her fit in education through life experience. Now, she's helping girls all around the world and ensuring them a successful education. That's a way that you can find your fit in the most simplest ways. Now, have you ever noticed that people who are more involved in extracurricular activities are less inclined to do activities that are malicious, like smoking marijuana, cigarettes, stealing, skipping school, using pills like Xanax, which is a sleeping pill? Even the National Center for Educational Statistics proves my point. 64% of people who are not involved in extracurricular activities have unexcused absences, while 58% of them skipped class. A prime example of this would be my friend, Sticks. As you can tell from this photo, Sticks isn't the most well-behaved person that I've ever met. On the weekends, Sticks would use drugs and smoke marijuana, and she would skip school. She wasn't doing anything that could better herself. That all changed when she saw the speech that I made at Texas Youth in Government on Snapchat. After she viewed that, she came to me. She asked me, Christy, I really want to know how I can improve my society. But then she also asked me, how can I make a change in my own life? I told her the simple solution to this is to find her fit. Now, Sticks isn't spending time after school using drugs. She's now the captain of her cheerleading team. And instead of skipping school and doing bad things on the weekends, Sticks is now making bills for the Texas Youth Legislation and Texas Youth in Government. One doesn't have to have a picture-perfect or clear record to find their fit. In turn, me finding my fit was able to impact somebody else, Sticks. And she found her fit. We can all make a change in our world. Maybe by finding something that you're passionate in, or involving yourself in extracurricular activities, or by even being the one person to inspire others to find their fit. Now, I'm not not saying that you should be the next Serena Williams or the next Bill Gates, and I'm definitely not saying that you should take my path and try to become the next LeBron James. But what I am saying is I want everybody to take 30 seconds now to think. Think about something that you love, something that deeply inspires you, something that brings you joy, or something that you're passionate about. That is your it.
Thank you so much, Christiana, for your effort to improve the future of America and leading other kids to do the same. Thanks for helping all of us find our fit. Now we've come to our last presenter, Rowan Gleithermes. Rowan hopes to become a veterinarian someday and aims to change the public view of wildlife conservation. At 15, she shares her love for animals from a very different viewpoint. Put your hands together for Rowan with her talk, Why Do We Do This?
I have a friend. He and I spend a lot of time together in the summer. We love to talk for hours. He lives with his 2 adopted sisters and gets along pretty well. He's also very shy. If we were to see a big group of people like this, he would hide away or act like he's asleep. He has a hard time making friends, unless they're wearing a green or orange shirt. Oh, and I forgot to mention, his name is Bozo, and he's a 52-year-old spider monkey. Hi, my name is Rowan, and I have volunteered at a zoo for 2 years now. I work in the zoo's education department, which means I work with both people and animals. This combination has led me to many hilarious and equally upsetting stories. But most of all, it has led me to a contradiction. I enjoy working at a zoo, yet I regret the necessity of having animals in captivity. It is obvious that captivity has negative effects on some of the animals. For example, chimpanzees, where 81% eat feces and 58% pluck their own hair. On average, each captive chimp has 4 to 5 abnormal behaviors, a few of which can be considered self-harm. As Nick Carter of the Humane Society Institution for Research has stated, there is no longer any question that the psychophysiological effects have been and continue to be prime causes for the suffering and the consequent high mortality rate among captive dolphins. And these negative effects, like abnormal behaviors, insufficient fear of humans, and exposure to novel diseases, often limit the success of reintroduction attempts. As I stated before, I work in education. My job is to teach the public using animals and biofacts, which are remnants of animals, like teeth and hair. Sometimes, to show the herbivorous diet of elephants, we use a piece of elephant poop. Of course, it's covered in plastic, but we don't always let the kids know that. So one time I was working in the summer, and this kid comes up to me, seemingly interested in what I was holding. And without missing a beat, he grabs the poop out of my hand and licks it, while always maintaining eye contact. Besides the wacky kids, we help teach the message of conservation to adults. Where else will an average go come face to face with a bald eagle or a lion and actually leave the experience caring? Please try to get someone to remember the word ovoviviparous without holding a lizard. Zoos are also a place for research and rehabilitation. A lot of information can be gathered while studying captive populations, which in turn help with conservation efforts. At the zoo I work at, we have a raptor rehabilitation program, which focuses on healing native species. If an individual is determined unfit for the wild after completing our program, they're offered a home at our zoo or another location within the association, such as the story of my friend Zeus. Over 214 zoos are part of the AZA, or Association of Zoos and Aquariums. This is a prestigious organization that demands a high level of animal welfare and expects conservation and education efforts from each of their zoos. Within the association, there is a program that effectively governs SSPs, or Species Survival Plans. SSPs are breeding programs that practice safe husbandry with animals within the association. They match mates on a list of characteristics, like the behaviors of the species, the needs of the environment they live in, basic veterinary needs, basic care needs, or to oversimplify, they play genetic matchmaker. The goal is to maintain populations within the association's collections, and to not take any animals from the wild. All of these positive efforts are put under the umbrella of wildlife conservation. Wildlife conservation is defined as protecting animal species and their habitat. Zoos have changed from a source of entertainment to a force on the front lines of wildlife conservation awareness. Everything a well-run and association-approved zoo does can be boiled down to wildlife conservation. A percent of every ticket and every purchase goes straight to organizations such as Association of Protecting the Environment, or APE, and World Wildlife Fund. So why do we do this? Why do we pour millions of dollars into wildlife conservation? Well, I'm sure you see the commercials and read the ads packed in the magazines when waiting for the doctor, even though your appointment was supposed to start 30 minutes ago. They'll say things like, your donation will make a difference, or to adopt an animal. And that's great, because it provides funding for amazing projects, but it doesn't give you the numbers. Did you know that in 2000, 48.5% of the tropical dry broadleaf rainforests have been converted for human use? Or that in 2031, 50% of the lion population will be gone? These numbers are scary, and not alone. But it's not helpless.
He said take pictures on the stage.
Everyone knows the most important line in real estate. Location, location, location. Zoos are accessible. Nowhere else can people come face to face with amazing creatures from around the world. And that connection, that relationship gets things done. But again, that white noise is playing in the background. We, zoos, help us appreciate the world. But to do so, we alter the purpose of the animal from a wild, instinctual creature to an ambassador of their own species. I'm not here to advocate for zoos. I'm here to justify them. When me and my fellow volunteers get accused of hurting the animals, and visitors going on and on about what they see, most of the time what they're describing is the natural behaviors of the animals themselves. For example, wolves. Wolves are an intelligent creature that walks their territory every morning. So when you see a canine species pacing, most of the time what they're doing is acting like their normal selves, not like our cute pets we cuddle with at home. We volunteers can immediately defend having animals in captivity because we know that these animals will make a difference in the public eye in the future of their own species. No matter how hard zoo employees and volunteers try, zoos will be imperfect, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't support them. Zoos are the necessary compromise that will move us from the dire straits of today to the maintainable tomorrow. So please, go visit your local zoo, because only then, only when people know and care, will we change the environment of our world. Thank you.
Thank you, Rowan. I don't know about y'all, but now I want to go visit the zoo and see what a wonderful effort they are putting forth in the field of wildlife conservation. Rowan, you truly are inspirational. Rowan was our last presenter, and now we come to the end of our conference. Before we go, we want to acknowledge all the people that made this event possible. You can find their names on the acknowledgement sheet.
We started the day off with session 1. Dr. Jeff explained how our presenters were selected and got to this point. Then we started with Julian Treasure's talk, how to speak so that people want to listen. And finally, we heard from our live presenters. First, we had Nicholas, who challenged our views on junk food with his talk, Beat the Distractions. Next, Christian enlightened us on finding the light in the midst of hardships. We ended session 1 with Ishan, informing us on other types of renewable resources in his talk, Why Waste Waste.
After a morning break, we kicked off session 2 with Malika Whitley's TED video, How the Arts Help Homeless Youth Heal and Build, where she shared her passion for the arts and how she has used that passion to reach the homeless youth in her community. Malika's video was followed by 3 great TED Talks. Tanish challenged us to face our fears with his talk, False Evidence. Bailey presented Lemonade Stand 2.0, where she encouraged youth like herself to step up and make a difference in society. And Nicole inspired us to be more confident with her talk, The Power of Shyness. We ended this session with an excellent presentation by Mrs. Harper from Trinity Valley School, our host.
We picked up right after lunch with an amazing video from Rita Pearson on why kids need a champion. Then it was back to our live presenters in session 3. Asir redefined equality in her talk, Flip of a Coin. Then Hallie showed us the importance of freedom with her talk titled Louder Than Words. And finally, Adam shed a new light on the idea of competitions in his talk, Competing for Success.
After a quick break, session 4 started off with Kenneth Shinizuka's inspirational video, My Simple Invention Designed to Keep My Grandfather Safe. Kenneth shared with us his incredible invention that monitors elderly people and keeps them out of harm's way. His TED Talk was followed by 3 great presentations. Ramesa asked us, what do you see when you look at me? And challenged us to look past our prejudices to see people for who they really are. Christiana wants to help you find your fit, and Rowan wants to spread awareness about wildlife conservation and the importance of zoos with her talk, Why Do We Do This? You can meet all of our session 4 presenters in the reception area after this session ends.
The energy and effort of the entire team is truly appreciated.
Before you go, please make sure that you have signed in at the registration desk in the reception area.
On behalf of all our presenters, we would like to thank the TEDx Youth Fort Worth team for helping them find their voice.
The 2018 class was amazing, and we sincerely hope that you will join us again next year.
As a new Fort Worth youth group sharing even more ideas about the future.
TEDx Youth is truly a remarkable global phenomenon. We do ask all the presenters to join us on stage for our final presentation and photos.
The event is officially complete. Thank you to everyone, and see you next year.